Derrick White was on fire, absolute fire. Mike Muscala played. He made an impact. It was great. And Jayson Tatum had to bail the Celtics out at the end. It's all right now on a bonus Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you every day with a free, fresh podcast dropped directly to your device if you're a subscriber. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast, whatever app you want to use, or if you want to on YouTube, it's there. You can watch the show and join a growing community of Celtics fans in the comment section. I love seeing the threads starting to pop up a lot more often. That means discussions are happening, and that's exactly what you want. So you don't have to be on Twitter. You don't have to be on Instagram or anything like that. Hop in and join the conversation. I'm John Karalis, former professional basketball player. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Bonus podcast today, Saturday podcast. So not the full half hour, 40 minutes, a little bit shorter, a little bit more free flowing, and just to get you something that you can enjoy on a weekend where the Celtics beat the Charlotte Hornets 127-116. They're done playing the Hornets. They should be done playing the Hornets. This Hornets team is god awful. Even though they made a comeback, they're just so bad. I don't understand how one team can be so bad for so long. Just no chance over there. But Celtics get the win. They get big games from Jayson Tatum, who had 41 for the Celtics. He could have rested in the fourth quarter, but no, that didn't go so great. Derrick White, unbelievable. 12 of 19, 8 of 14 from three, threatening Marcus Smart's record. For a while there, it was like, he's going to get to double digits here, but he cooled off in the second half. But 41 points from Tatum, 33 from Derrick White, who stepped in nicely for Jaylen Brown. That's 74 points combined on a 127-point night. Celtics had 34 assists on 44 made buckets. So that's really good. And that's what happens when you hit 25 of 55 from three. But it was pretty much up until midway through the third quarter, a very kind of easy game. First quarter was kind of chaotic. Didn't really love the first quarter. It was kind of trash. It was kind of up and down. Then in the second quarter, Derrick White just said, you know what? Watch this. And he went 6 of 8 from three in the second quarter alone. 18 points in that second quarter. Just phenomenal. He had a shot, like Terry Rozier kind of blocked his shot and he still got the shot up and it went in anyway. Didn't matter what he was putting up. Everything he put up, it seemed, was going in. He missed like a heat check and he missed another one later. But he played the whole second quarter, and of course he did, because why wouldn't you keep playing a guy that was that hot? Beauty of Derrick White's game. So in the first half, he had 26 points and 3 assists, and he shot 9 of 11, 7 of 9 from three. So obviously in the second half, he cooled off a bit, and he only hit 1 of 5 from three in the second half, but then 7 assists in the second half. So when the shots weren't falling, he just turned it up and just started slinging dimes. And he had some really nice ones in there. Derrick White is just on a stretch here where he's playing some of the best basketball, I think, of his life, of his NBA career for sure. It's just phenomenal to watch. And just the buzz around the team at the arena, everybody's just looking around at each other. Going, man, he is so good. He is so good. He just catches the ball and makes a quick decision. Shoot, pass, dribble. He's just not messing around with the ball. He gets it and he does something with it. He is the epitome of 0.5 basketball. When you ask, John, when you say 0.5 basketball, you heard me mention it before if you're a regular listener or a viewer, but even if you're not 100% sure, 0.5 basketball is a concept championed by Greg Popovich, where you have basically half a second. You get it. You have half a second to say, what's in front of me and how am I going to react? Half a second. Am I going to dribble? Am I going to pass? Am I going to shoot? And make that decision fast, which means not rush. It means get your reaction time to a point where you get the ball, you turn, and you see something. The defense is giving you something. Is the guy's hand down and he's further away from you? There's your shot. Is he angled a certain way? There's your drive. Is he up on you, or do you see a lane? Do you see a cutting teammate? Then you pass, but you do it quickly and you move the ball. That was the hallmark of those amazingly great San Antonio Spurs teams, that 0.5 basketball. White thrives on that. He does so many good things just right off the dribble. Right, catch, shoot, boom, gone. You know, those types of plays make Derrick White so good. He is so good. And I'm not going to say it's going to make me rethink anything, because when they're fully healthy, Marcus Smart is your starting point guard, and Tatum and Brown are going to be your two wings, and Rob and Al are going to be your two bigs. But D White as a guy off the bench, I mean, maybe you just want more Derrick White. And, you know, Malcolm Brogdon, who didn't have a good game in this one, but generally speaking, Malcolm Brogdon's is huge. You play those two together off the bench, just play them a little bit more. When the playoffs come around and those guys get more minutes, Derrick White, man, there's no reason to not play Derrick White a bunch. His minutes will go down when they're fully healthy, but you still got to keep him up in that high 20 to 30 range with the shorter rotation. By the way, 3 blocks. So I love when we move the sliders on stats, but when you move the sliders the right way, Derrick White's the only player in NBA history to have had 33 points, 10 assists, and 3 blocked shots. I will say in measured NBA history, because I'm sure back in the day, Wilt or Bill Russell probably had a bunch of block shots, and 33 and 10 was not uncommon. So, but hey, in the modern NBA, that's great. To do anything that you could even argue no one has ever done, or very few people have ever done, means you've had a good game. Tatum was good, but through the first 3 quarters, it was just kind of like, all right, yeah, that's fine. You know, a nice game in the first 3 quarters. In fact, I'll pull up the first 3 quarter stats here, because Tatum had 28 points, 9 of 15 shooting, 3 of 7 from 3, 7 of 9 from the line, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. That was a nice game. And frankly, after the game, we were sitting there saying, like, I kind of don't want to talk to Jayson Tatum today, because he's always the last guy out. And we're like, everybody else is having a better game, or a game that's good enough where, hey, give Tatum the night off from the media. It's fine. We're all fine. It's a Friday night. Let him go home. We can go home. But then the Celtics, about 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, they're up 28. They went up 28. And then the Hornets basically cut that lead in half. And midway through the fourth quarter, Tatum had to step back in. And Joe Mazzulla was funny after the game, because he said, well, Tatum, he didn't have to put Tatum back in. I chose to put Tatum back in. But yes, you chose to put Tatum back in because the lead was going away and the Celtics were turning the ball over like crazy in that second half. And that was, you know, especially in that third quarter run, and you needed to put Tatum back in. Points off of turnovers, the Celtics had 15 turnovers for 25 Charlotte points. So that killed them. That's the disappointing part of this game. The disappointing part of this is the Celtics were up 28 and they just started turning the ball over a ton. And the number, here's the thing that really bothers me. The one stat that bugs me in this game is points in the paint. Points in the paint for the it's 48-34. That number should be flipped at the very least. I thought the Celtics, and granted, they were hot from three, so they were taking a ton of 3-pointers, and I get it. So you're not going to get a bunch of points in the paint, but you should still not be outscored points in the paint by the Charlotte Hornets. I cannot accept that. I cannot accept that. Every other non-3-point opportunity should have been points in the paint for the Celtics. They traded away Plumlee. They didn't have any real protection at the rim in general. Mark Williams, okay, that's fine. Mark Williams was nice in his opportunity there, but he only had one block shot. They needed to challenge a little bit more, but fine. Okay, fine. But the turnovers were really problematic there. I think the Celtics just kind of got a little bit like maybe three happy. They got a little too complacent. Like they kind of thought they could just mess around the last quarter and a half, and they just say, we're gonna have some fun with this, and it bit them. It bit them. So Tatum comes back in. He scores 13 of the last 17 or 19 points in the fourth quarter, and the Celtics hold on to win. And Tatum comes away with a 41-point night on 13 of 21 shooting. So over 60% there, 50% from 3, 5 of 10, 10 of 12 from the line. So overall, Tatum just against the Charlotte Hornets is just dominant. Like they got nothing for him. They got nothing for him. If he played the Hornets every game, they would induct him into the Hall of Fame during his playing career. That's how much he torches the Charlotte Hornets. The other guy I have to mention, and this might be basically the end of the podcast, Mike Muscala, who gets in late, hops on a plane. His last game was in Los Angeles. He was on the floor for LeBron James, breaking the all-time scoring record. And then he comes to Boston and gets a uniform, number 57, which is in honor of his mother, who passed before the season. She was born in 1957. So he's honoring her memory with the number 57. That's a very sweet story. Muscala comes in, hits his first shot, a corner 3-pointer off of Tatum, goes 4 of 8 from 3, comes off of that game in LA where he was 4 of 7 from 3 and was part of burying the Lakers. Then he comes in here and buries another bad team, the Charlotte Hornets, and goes 4 of 8. And I just feel like there's a level of audacity that you're going to be the new guy. He's like, hey, everybody, my name's Mike. Nice to meet you. How you doing? Yeah, okay, great. So this is my locker. That's great. I'm going to come out here and I'm just going to take 8 3-pointers. Yeah, that's it. It's more than most of you are going to take. So I'm going to take more shots than a bunch of the guys who have been here already. But again, just floors this way. Okay. Oh, that's the audacity behind it is just hilarious. But Jayson, after the game, was like, yeah, man, those were all good shots. They were all good shots. And if it's 8 shots, then it's 8. If it's 18, take 18. If you get those shots and that opportunity, then take it. And I think right away you see the trade paying dividends. Right away. I mean, you traded Justin Jackson for Mike Muscala. Justin Jackson never played. Never. When he got into first quarter minutes, like once, everybody's like, oh no, they broke glass in case of emergency. That's desperation already. Muscala gets off the plane, steps onto the floor, takes 8 threes. They immediately put him in the game. That's the difference in that roster spot right there. So immediately it tells me that this trade was a success immediately. And normally you need to wait a long time to judge a trade, but just the fact that Joe Mazzulla said, oh, great, I get Mike Muscala, I'm subbing him in at the 4-minute mark. That's didn't practice, didn't nothing. He just said, oh, I know Mike Muscala. Yeah, he's a big dude and he can shoot at like 40%. So we're gonna pop him in there. That's important. And Brad Stevens talked before the game, and he talked about how Muscala can play with either of the bigs, with both of the bigs. I mean, whichever way you want to slice it, he can do that. And he still needs some work to do defensively, but Generally speaking, he can play either way. He played with Rob, and I thought they were okay. Defensively, he's got some work to do, but he made a couple of nice defensive plays. And just being a big that can spot up, you can put him out there. If you face like the Cleveland Cavaliers in a series, there might be a series where you try Muscala and Horford on the floor together. You say, okay, you got Jarrett Allen, you got Evan Mobley, you got shot blockers at the rim. Okay, no problem. Here's Mike Muscala. Here's Al Horford. You guys go guard him out in the perimeter, and we're going to throw smart Tatum and Brown out there. Now what? Now what are you going to do? What are you going to do, big boys? That's how I would approach it. And yeah, Rob obviously gets his opportunity as well. But that could be, if you're in a series with the Cavaliers, that could be a hell of a curveball to throw at them, to have two big, nearly 7-foot guys, just put them out in the perimeter, on the corners. You have to respect them. Are you going to leave Al Horford in the corner for three? No. He's a killer from three this season. You're going to put Mike Muscala in the corner for three? You're going to leave him alone in the corner? No. He's a killer from three. He's a sniper. So that makes this a big addition. And you saw it right away pay dividends. The Celtics, I think. Oh, by the way, I want to clarify something, because yesterday in the podcast, and I forgot who it was in the comments that said that gave me this direction to ask. I said, geez, I don't know why they didn't trade Danilo Gallinari just into somebody's cap space to save some tax money. If you trade away the player who's attached to the disabled player exception, you trade away, like, that exception goes away. You no longer have that exception to use. Now, I asked around, and basically the sentiment from the Celtics side was, yes, that's true. It's not exactly a reason to keep the guy around. Like, they were shopping him. They were looking to make trades that involved him in the deal. So if there's a trade that they liked that needed him to be in the deal, they were going to make it. That disabled player exception didn't mean anything. Keeping him, rather than trading him into space, I mean, that was not their main motivation to keep the disabled player exception, but it's a nice kind of side effect. So they still have that tool, and they can still use it on the buyout market. So that's a point of clarification to answer a question that I asked on yesterday's podcast. So again, I forget who said it in the comments, but full credit to you for steering me in that direction so I can get that clarification. The addition of Muscala, Brad Stevens revealed, is somebody that's been on his radar for a while. He has been asking and talking to the Thunder for a while. The Celtics love to do business with the Thunder. You know why? Because first of all, Sam Presti is, fair negotiator. But secondly, they are as locked down an NBA franchise as you will find. If they don't want a rumor getting out, you're not going to get it from the Thunder front office. That's no chance. And the Celtics seem to be the same way. Those two teams can talk to each other about everything. They could talk to each other about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Jaylen Brown, which I'm just pulling names out of a hat. I'm just saying the two big names. I'm just joking there. But they could talk about those two teams, those two guys, and that rumor, a rumor of that magnitude wouldn't get out, because those two teams are such lockdown teams. Not to say that they don't leak things. They can, they will. But if they don't want it, they won't. And so I think that's part of why you just don't hear anything from those teams, and you don't hear anything when the Celtics are kind of actively sniffing around some of those players. So the Muscala had a target. The Brad Stevens had targeted Muscala for a while and was able to get him for a very reasonable price. Just so we can wrap up the buyout stuff, the Celtics seem to be prepared to explore the buyout market, but also they are prepared to not get anybody in the buyout market, because I think Brad Stevens is kind of, he understands the limited opportunity that there might be for these guys. So he said, look, we'll see what we're going to do with that open roster spot. So it's not guaranteed we're going to pull in a buyout guy. He didn't say we're going to be active on the buyout market. He's basically said, we'll see. Let's see how it goes. So that's that. We'll see what else materializes there, but it's possible they use that roster spot if they feel like they're fully set. He's like, hey, we might use it on a young guy. Bring in a young guy and see. Let's kind of give him a look. Bring him in, and maybe you just give him some G League reps and see if maybe that's somebody that can become part of a rotation down the line. Who knows? So as far as the rest of this game goes, I could just run down the list. Grant Williams, not a great game, but he did do other things. He had 6 assists. So not a great scoring game, but he did do other things. Robert Williams, 16 rebounds in less than 27 minutes. And I didn't even think he played all that well, but the 16 rebounds was big. Sam Hauser's back, man. He is back. 4 of 9 from 3. He looked really good. That shot is, I think, generally bad. He did airball one, but he had a bunch of shots there. He really looks like he's back. He was in the starting lineup. That's a really encouraging thing. Blake Griffin came in, nice putback dunk. Like I said, Malcolm Brogdon, he had a really bad game. It's hard to be a -12 in a game you win by 11 and we're up by 28. And he managed to be the only negative in plus minus in this game. And a -12 is, ugh. So, hey, rough game from Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not going to sweat it. We know how good he is. Peyton Pritchard was nice. Luke Cornett, a few minutes was decent. And like I said, Muscala, I like what I see from Muscala so far. It's only 15 minutes or so, but that was a nice performance. Next up, Sunday, Memphis Grizzlies. That's going to be a big one there. 2 p.m. game. So podcast will drop a little earlier. So that'll be good. You can listen to it, but not dropping at 3 a.m. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Check me out there. Check me out on YouTube. Also, Sunday, if you're local in the Boston area, that Sunday Celtics Grizzlies game, I'm going to be on the WCVB Channel 5 postgame, the local postgame show. So after the ABC coverage is done, stick around. The local postgame show, I will be on that. And I'm also going to be hosting a live discussion with Kendrick Perkins on his new book, The Education of Kendrick Perkins. It's going to be at the Armory in Somerville. Go buy your tickets. You got to buy tickets to go to that event, but you get a copy of the book. You get to listen to the discussion, and we're going to do a Q&A. So I'll be moderating all of that. So make sure you do that. Some of you have already sent me a message saying, hey, I bought my tickets. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing the podcast and telling everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day.